So, the Noble Call, Elder Metvin asked me to introduce the Noble Call this evening. The Noble Call has become a tradition at the Abbey Theatre over the last 2 to 3 years. It's an old Irish tradition where we all sit around in a sitting room or in a bar, in a pub, and the song starts and we invite people to do a Noble Call. And a Noble Call could be a song, it could be a poem, or perhaps in this instance it could be a story, recounting a story, telling in a scale. And we're also enthralled maybe and confused about all the decade of centenaries that we have, but we are marking a certain commemoration. Is that the word? Or this time 12 months ago, the Gaza war was on, and an extraordinary amount of people, over 2,200 Palestinians were killed. And what Palfest Ireland, of which I have no part in, but acknowledge and admire, is to make that mark, to kind of acknowledge across this city, across this country, that Irish people, and particularly Irish artists, and this extraordinary thing about Irish artists, their volunteerism and their activism that encouraged, and we're doing an act of remembrance and an act of solidarity to the Palestinian people, and it's something that we're all proud of, and I'm personally proud to be part of that. So in that instance, we have an extraordinary humanitarian and medical doctor from Norway, Dr. Mads Gilbert, who some of you know. I've just come back from an extraordinary lecture he gave that I bawled my eyes out genuinely over 2 hours, where he spoke about his experience in Al-Shifa Hospital. He spoke about the resilience, the solidarity, the humanity of the Palestinian people in what is an atrocious and awful war, a war that is utterly unjust, and an occupation that's utterly unjust. So I won't say any more, because I leave it to him to tell us, and I want to invite Dr. Mads Gilbert to do a Noble Call on the Abbey stage.
Thank you ever so much, and good evening everybody. I am extremely honored and privileged to be invited for this Noble Call. I'm shit scared, but I'll do my best. This is much worse than standing in Shifa Hospital and receiving the wounded. I want to pay tribute to this theatre as a cradle of resistance against colonialism. And I want to pay tribute to the actors and the writers who are maybe the most important energies of resistance that we have. The songs, the poems, the stories, the plays, all that is in the human heart that can be expressed much better than through numbers and cold political terms. So I suggest another round of applause for the actors. For the organizers of Palfest, which I have enjoyed. The Irish people is for many of us a forerunner and a role model for the European resistance against colonialism, and your solidarity with the Palestinian people is widely known, and also of course in Palestine. Tell her, don't tell her what to tell, don't frighten her. I think the most important task I have as a medical doctor is not to stitch up the wounded and to complete the amputations, or to take the linen and cover the little girl's face when she is bled to death. My most important task is to tell the stories, to be a narrator, to be a storyteller, and to tell the truth, not to hide anything. Because through that, we may change the world. Through the stories of human lives, anywhere it occurs in the world, the stories of suffering, but mostly the stories of strength. And I will tell you one little story from Gaza from 2012. Bear in mind that the people of Gaza, 1.8 million, have been attacked and bombed 4 times since 2006. They have been through 4 brutal Israeli attacks, killing almost 2,000 Palestinian children only in those few years. And for me, it is totally incomprehensible how a government, a state, and a governmental army can kill 2,000 children unarmed, incarcerated, besieged, without getting some sort of all the arsenal of international punitive actions that the international community is using against other government and other states. Sanctions, trade sanctions, political isolation, and, God forbid, invasion and bombing. Israel enjoys an impunity which is dangerous to all of us. Because once might defines right, then any small nation can be the prey of those who have more weapons, more arsenal, and stronger armies. And that's what we see in Gaza. The Abu Zur family lived in Zaytun, which is an outskirt of Gaza City, a poor neighborhood known for its resistance against the occupation of Gaza. The Abu Zur family is a big family, like most Palestinian families. They live in a 4-story building in Zaytun. And we're writing November 2012, the third Israeli attack on Gaza since 2006. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. The neighbor family, the Assam family, are also sleeping. In both houses there are tens of children, like in most Palestinian families. Suddenly there is a loud sound of an explosion on top of the house. It's an Israeli drone who has shot 2 rockets, not with explosives, to do what they call the knock on the roof. That means that if the families do not get out within 4 or 5 minutes, they will all get killed. Because it's a warning knock on the roof that they will take down, as they say it, the Israelis, these 2 buildings, with probably 1-ton aerial explosive bombs. The Assam family managed to collect their children and run out of the house. The Abu Zur family is not so speedy. So most of them are in the house when the bomb is falling. 3 of the kids are killed. The twin sisters and brothers come to Shifa. I tend to Hanadi together with the other doctors in Shifa Hospital. She has a severe brain injury. She's put on a ventilator, and we doubt that she will survive. There is a ceasefire within 8 days of bombing. 2 days later, I travel around in Gaza City to see the sites from where our patients were coming. I come to the street of the Azam and the Abu Zur family. It's totally rubbish. It's like it looks when the Israeli army has bombed. It looks like Hiroshima. Totally sort of devastated. Rubble filling the streets, kids running around. I see 3 small chaps sitting opposite the street of the Abu Zur family house. They're having 2 toys, a rubber car and a gun. And I ask them what they're doing, what they are discussing. And they say, we are discussing how we can better hide our toys for the next attack. Because we didn't hide it enough, so we only have 2 toys left, the car and the water gun. 3 young boys, 4, 5, and 7 years old. The Assam clan head comes over to me and he says, Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Mats, kif halak. I greet him in the little Arabic I know. He is well dressed, he's clean, he has his little white kalot on the head. And he takes me to the 2 buildings of the Assam family and the Abu Zur family. We go through it, he shows me the sleeping room, the bedroom of the kids that were injured and killed. And he says, thanks to God, Alhamdulillah, we managed to get out all our family members and the kids, only some minor injuries. But unfortunately, the Abu Zur family got severely hit and lost so many members. They set some plastic chairs in the street among the rubble, wiped away some of the stones from the houses, brightly violet plastic chairs, and they make tea, and we sit down in the typical fashion of Palestinian hospitality, in a little circle, some men, some women, and the children playing around, and we talk. we have an elevated discussion about the world situation and about the resistance and the repetitious bombing. I leave and I come back the next day, and to my surprise there is a banner across the street between the two rows of bombed buildings with big letters in Arabic and a picture of the bombed house. And I meet the Assam family head again, and I ask him, why this banner? Has there been somebody from the government, from the information department putting up the banner because they think that there will be visits from the international media? And he says, no, I decided to make the banner because we need to show our strength. So I ordered my sons to go to the print shop and make this banner to show the world that we will never give up. And I asked him, can you translate it to me? And he says, yes. It says in big Arabic letters, Sumud. And for those of you who know Arabic, Sumud means steadfastness. It's a virtue. It's a quality. It's a lifelong activity of the Palestinian people. It is not to give up. It is to sustain 70 years of occupation and military rule. It is to sustain an apartheid system that is dividing them along lines of race instead of accepting both people as equal. It is to sustain these repetitious bombardments. It is to sustain 8 years of starvation, not only of food, but of school books and pencils, of tiles and window panes and building material, and freedom. Freedom to travel, freedom to speak up, freedom to join alliances with other people. So what does the banner read, I ask him. He says it reads, despite siege, bombing, and occupation, we stand tall and we will never give up our land. And I say, so for who is the banner? And he says, it's for us. But I thought yesterday that your questions were important, and I wanted to make sure that if any other foreigner came around and saw us, I wanted them to share with us our resistance, not our pity, our strength, not our weakness, and our determination to stand strong in Gaza and never ever give up the fight against the occupation and Israeli Zionist colonization of Palestine. And I think that deserves an applause, because this is the true virtue of Palestine. So to conclude, I think we need to take back the words, because the words have been taken hostage of the Israeli government, of the Israeli propaganda machinery, the Hashbara, of the Zionist political movement, which is turning everything upside down. Terrorist in Gaza means a Palestinian resistance fighter. Whereas to me, terrorist in Gaza means an Israeli army bombing mercilessly civilians, killing 551 Palestinian children only during the last attack. To me, attack means when an occupier is bombing an occupied people. In the world today, attack means that Palestinians are shooting rockets to defend their civilians. So attack means defense, and defense means attack. And terror means the right to resist occupation, and protection of human rights, protection of freedom and democracy means the right to oppress another people. So we need to take back the words. We need to tell the truth. And to do that, we need more than ever the arts, the actors, the poets, the writers, the painters, the musicians. And we need the good alliances between good Jews and good Palestinians who join together in a common cause to resist colonization and oppression and the occupation of Palestine. And I will mention to the end of my little talk 2 names. Max Blumenthal, the brave Ashkenazi Jew from the United States, a brilliant journalist, who has said, I will not subscribe to the Zionist project. I do not support the occupation of Palestine. On the contrary, I will use all my energy to uncover, to take back the words, and to tell the truth. He's written one book which is called Goliath, on the situation, the right-wing movement, the fascist development in Israel. And he's written a second book right now about the last attack on Gaza. He's written the foreword in my book, Night in Gaza, which we released in English a week ago in London and which we are selling here in Dublin. He is one of these many voices who takes back the words, he tells the truth, and he goes in to do that with his Jewish voice, to show the world that indeed Judaism and Zionism are not two similar things. And he does that in order to show that there is a huge potential for a peaceful alliance between Palestinians and Jews, and in particular the young generation, in order to get an end to the occupation of Palestine and to the unjust treatment of the Palestinian people. This is not a difficult conflict. This is a difficult occupation. And it has lasted too long, and it's all our responsibility to see an end to this unjust occupation of Palestine. The second name is Mohammed Umar, a young Palestinian journalist living in Rafah in southern Gaza. He has written the postscript in my book. He's a good friend of mine. He says, every night has a morning. We will not give up. There will be a morning. There will be a better time for the Palestinian people. And with that comes a better time for the Israeli people. Because no people who is occupying another people will ever have peace and security until that occupation is ended. And there is justice, not only peace, but peace with justice. So I think that the stories are the most important things to tell. Should we tell her? Should we not tell her? I think we should tell the truth. I think we should take responsibility, each one of us, to be knowledgeable about the situation in the world, not only in Palestine, but also in other parts of the world, less fortunate than our rich part. We have a saying in Norwegian that you can drown in the butter eye. You know the butter eye on the porridge? It can get so big that you drown in it. And we are risking now, because of our wealth and our good lives, to drown in our own butter eyes. That's a bad death, I can tell you. To be ignorant, to be egoistic, to be without the world outlook, to be without solidarity, it is a very unlikely death, and it is a miserable death. So let's stand up, let's be strong, let us show solidarity, let's take back the words, and let us continue to tell the truth. And with that, I hope that the Irish people will increase their solidarity, will force your government to engage in the boycott, divestment and sanction of Israel, which is a peaceful means to end the occupation of Palestine. Gaza teaches life, Palestine teaches life. I end with an Arab slogan that I learned from Yasser Arafat, Abu Omar, in Beirut in 1982. The slogan was Thawra Thawra Hatta Nasr. It means revolution will have victory in the end. We have rephrased it a bit, and we say Gaza, Gaza Hatta Nasr. Gaza will have victory, and the Palestinian people will be free, inshallah. Thank you very much. Shukran jazeelan.